I wanted to demonstrate some of the kazoos that I make. I'm going to start with this kazoo. This is one of my favorite ones to make. I think if you're out playing music, this is probably the best choice if you're playing acoustically, which I do most of the time. This is a kazoo with a removable cone. There's the kazoo part, obviously, and then we've got the cone. So let me demonstrate what that one sounds like. So that's what that one sounds like. Let me demonstrate a few other ones here. So let's start with kind of the basic kazoo. This was the first kazoo that was patented. Warren Frost got the first kazoo patent, the early 1880s, and his kazoos all were originally made out of wood. And so this is a reproduction, a pretty darn accurate reproduction of his first kazoo. The holes he put in there, in his literature he described all of the different sounds that you could make with it, and he described the different animals that you could imitate, and what he described was kazooing through different parts of it. So here's what the regular use of it would sound like. But he also described being able to kazoo through these holes. Through that end you don't get much buzzing because most of the air escapes through these holes and hardly any of it makes it to the membrane. But the holes really don't do much other than kind of change the nature of the sound. Here's what the holes sound like. So it doesn't change the pitch, obviously. The pitch is dependent upon your humming. But covering and opening up the holes does change something about the sound. Mostly what you find is that the sound of a kazoo is going to be dependent upon the kind of the size of the membrane. So if you think about a kazoo like that, you're going to get a sound. Of course, depending upon how you hum. I made this kazoo a few years ago just to see what a really big kazoo would sound like. And of course this one's way louder, the membrane's much bigger. So you can get a ridiculous amount of sound out of something like that. I'm not sure that I recommend that for most musical situations, but if you're looking to make a big noise, something like that will certainly do it. So any of the kazoos that I make, typically the holes are going to be ornamental. They're not going to do a whole lot, and I make a variety of these things. Here's one that's based on an old kazoo. I don't have one of these in my collection, but I've seen pictures of them. No holes. And they sound pretty much like a lot of the others. Here's one that I make. This is kind of my design. And I put holes in it, but of course the holes don't do much. It changes something. You can hear it, but you can't really put your finger on exactly what's going on other than the nature of the buzzing changes. So I've got a variety of these things. Here's one that's designed to go inside of a cone, and it's a little bit bigger, so this one's going to be louder. The bigger and the louder they are, kind of the deeper the I guess you would call it the voice of the kazoo is. Here's one that's also large, but it's got a cone that it goes in, and you can get a lot of volume with something like this. So again, this is something, if you're going to use something like that, especially if you're playing with an acoustic guitar, the kazoo may almost be too loud. You can actually get a cone that is extra large, and this thing is going to make a whole lot of noise. But if that's what you're looking to do, then that's probably the thing that you're after. Another thing that I make are copies of old French mirlitons. So obviously the kazoo membranophone instruments have been around for a long time, a lot longer than before Warren Frost ended up getting a patent for a kazoo. So this is a mirliton, and you'll see pictures of these online. These are really loud also. So this has a membrane at each end, and it's got a one hole to hum in on this end and another hole on this end, and these are going to be loud also. You're going to get the same sound out of either end, but that's kind of a real early, before the wooden kazoos, they were making mirlitons. They were also making what are referred to as vocaphones or bigophones. A vocaphone is essentially a kazoo, but the mouthpiece part of it is smaller. And you can see on this one they were built so that they don't come all the way out. And you can see that it's basically just a kazoo in there, but it's designed to always be played with the cone. And so this is going to sound just like a kazoo. It sounds different if you played it like that. It essentially forces all of the buzzing to come out of the cone. But that's a vocaphone. There were also other vocaphones with a little bit more ornate mouthpieces in them. You can see there's one, there's the kazoo part of it. And essentially it's a different style of kazoo. So, and again, the quality of the sound that you're able to produce with the kazoo is going to depend upon the quality of your humming. If you're better at staying on pitch and you can actually hum a good song, then you're going to be able to get a good sound. And there's also a difference between humming in your regular voice and humming in that kind of higher falsetto type voice. So that hopefully gives you an idea of the different kazoos, at least that I make. So if you're interested in let me show you one other one. I pulled this one out. I made this one just one time just to see if I could actually make it, but basically that's an extra long kazoo. It resembles some type of woodwind instrument, maybe a flute or something like that. And again, it's got 12 holes on there, but they don't do anything. It's really just nothing more than a cool looking kazoo. So, again, hopefully that gives you an idea of some of the stuff that I make. So, I hope to hear from you.